Welcome to the Raymarine course overview for the JP Morgan Asset Management 80th Round the Island race. Over the next minute or two I'm going to discuss the main aspects of the course for Saturday's race, together with a few of the hazards that you're likely to come across along the way. First thing to consider is the two waiting areas that have been prescribed in the sailing instructions for boats to wait in prior to their warning signal. Once you approach your start, due to the southwesterly conditions that we're likely to encounter and the favourable tide down the western Solent, most boats are likely to want to start near the cow's end of the line, so this is likely to be quite busy. Finding clear air here may be tricky, but it's probably the best place to start if you can find that clear air. The busy boats will then start to tack off the line, tack down the western Solent, trying to stay in that favourable tide. So the main problem here is going to be collision avoidance. This is going to be the case all the way down the western Solent, towards Hurst and the Needles. Two areas to consider: the Hurst Narrows, which is obviously a bottleneck and therefore going to be very busy. Boats are going to be wanting to stay in the favourable tide, and this is typically to the northern side of the channel at that point. This continues down the Shingles bank as well. Boats are going to be short tacking down that bank and waiting to choose the optimum time to cross over to the Needles and make their rounding onto the next leg of the course. If you choose to cut the corner at the Needles and pass inside the wreck of the Vavassi, you must be careful to identify Goose Rock. You need to identify this for two critical reasons. One, you don't want to hit it, and two, it gives you a very good marker for the shallow water channel that passes between the Needles and the wreck. If you stay nice and close to Goose Rock at this point, this will get you into that safe channel and round into Freshwater Bay. However, this is a very busy part of the course. Lots of boats will be making decisions, lots of boats will be worrying about this, and lots of boats will be coming inside and trying to cut this corner off. Therefore, the safest route is to pass outside of these two hazards. Once into Freshwater Bay, there are two more hazards to watch out for. Two rocks just below the surface, which lie just on the inshore part of the course. So if you choose to go a little bit inshore here at Freshwater, you need to know where these rocks are. The next leg of the course is up towards St Catherine's, and again, if you choose to stay on the inshore part of this leg to avoid the foul tide, there are a few ledges on the way that can be a problem, so make sure you know where these ledges are. On the way to St Catherine's Point, again, boats are going to start to converge. It's going to be quite a busy part of the course. The wind, as we've mentioned before, is also likely to increase, possibly become a bit more gusty at St Catherine's, so the spinnaker trimmers need to be a little bit careful at this point. The ideal point is to stay inshore at St Catherine's, as that's out of the worst of the tide, and lots of boats are going to be looking to do this, so again, it's a busy part of the course. Once past St Cat's, into Sandown Bay, there is a sailing regatta going on in Sandown Bay. I don't think it's going to be near your course, but it is something to be aware of. Lots of dinghies and windsurfers are likely to be in the area, so keep an eye out for them. The next leg of the course is towards Bembridge Ledge. At this point, you're going to have done quite a lot of spinnaker work with the southwesterlies that we're forecasting at the moment. Getting to the end of this leg, again, a lot of the boats are going to converge, so it's going to become a busy corner. It's important to have your next sail plan ready. The next leg is likely to be the beat into the Solent, and you may want to go into sea view to minimise the effect of the foul tide. Be careful to avoid the exclusion zone off the yacht club there. This is marked by a large spherical black buoy and a yellow post. Between the two will be a string of orange buoys. This area is an exclusion zone and you can't go into it as part of the course, so stay to the north of this. Next comes the interesting part of short tacking up the Ryde Sands. The foul tide that you're likely to experience at this point means you're going to want to stay as close to those Ryde Sands as you can. This is also going to be the case for all the other boats that are around you at this point of the course, so therefore it's going to be a very busy part. Many around the island boat have ended their race here after doing almost most of the course and completing most of the race, but not quite making it to the finish line. So watch out for this. If you've got a chart plotter, this is the best time to use it. Carrying up towards the finish at Cowes, again, you're going to be short tacking pretty much to stay out of the tide once you pass the Ryde Sands, heading towards Oldcastle Point and the two finish lines. At this point, you want to be sure which finish line you're actually going to be heading for. Lots of boats around again at this point, quite busy. Some boats are going to be crossing in front of you, wanting to get to the finish line on the left. You're possibly going to be wanting to go to the finish line on the right. It can be quite busy, quite congested. You've also got the problem of complicated and confused winds and seas off Oldcastle Point, which typically is the case with a southwesterly wind. Don't forget to register on raymarine.co.uk for SMS and email weather updates. I'm going to be back tomorrow with an update on the weather, a bit more detail this time. We'll look at actual winds, what's going to happen on Saturday. We'll have a new model, so we'll look at more information on that. We're also going to look at tidal information and tactics and some strategy for the race.